Now at 5, a Joplin man is arrested after a crash claims the life of another person. Plus, how a neighborhood app is being used to keep local communities safe. And
with time running out to find 5 people aboard a missing submersible, the Coast Guard announces a discovery in the area near the Titanic. I'm Roxana Saberi with more on what the remote-operated vehicle found.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Joplin police arrested a man for felony DWI after another person was killed in a crash. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Jalen Banks. Authorities say the crash happened around 8:30 last night along River Road, just east of Main Street in Joplin. They say a Chevy Cobalt traveling west when it left the roadway and overturned, crashing into a large brick mailbox. The passenger, 20-year-old Liberty Fowler of Joplin, was killed. The 21-year-old driver of the car has been arrested, but formal charges have not been filed. See Click Fix is an app that allows citizens to engage with their city government and identify issues within their community. Both Joplin and Pittsburgh city officials say it's important to properly use this app and make sure you can identify the issues that you see around you.
Click Fix is a citizen engagement app. It allows you the power of your phone to report where you are, to geolocate your location for where the incident is taking place, whether it be a pothole, a street sign missing,
a vacant lot that has tall weeds or trash, or something's been dumped there. You can report that concern to the city. It goes straight into that Click Fix system, and then our staff receive that directly.
Both Joplin and Pittsburgh officials want to remind you that the app is not intended to report criminal activity. If you are aware of an emergency or suspicious of a crime going on around you, always be sure to dial 911. Veterans in Miami today had the chance of flying back in time in a biplane. The event was organized by Dream Flights, a donation volunteer-driven organization with the mission of giving back to those who served. This was the 4th time Dream Flights came to Miami. Each flight lasted around 15 minutes and brought joy to the veterans.
When you reach a certain age, you start losing your friends and health, and it seems like you're losing everything, you're not gaining anything. And I fundamentally believe that people should hang on to their dreams. They're not thinking about biplane flights, but when you give them that flight, it kind of opens up their world and says, I can still do things, I'm relevant.
The airplane veterans flew was a Boeing Stearman built in 1942 and was used as a World War II primary trainer. Dream Flights have flown in 49 states. Next month, they will be doing their 6,000th flight. The Missouri Division of Fire Safety says the drought in the state is worsening. They say 3 months ago, 1.5% of Missouri was in moderate drought or worse. Now it's more than 70%. They say the percent of Missouri in severe drought grew 43%. They want to remind everyone to be very careful with any activities that could spark a fire, including fireworks. Meteorologist Sam Lane joins us.
All right, thank you very much, Jalen. Yeah, we're going to talk about the drought just a little bit. You can see that on the drought tracker, the map updated today. The drought is worsening across the state of Missouri. It's improving a little bit, especially in western Kansas and western Oklahoma and the panhandles of Texas. But in our local area, the drought is still ongoing, an exceptional drought for Elk and Chautauqua counties, extending over into Montgomery County. And just to show you just how bad it is, let's take a look at Independence. They're supposed to have had 67.43 inches of rain since January 1 of 2022, and they've only had 44.75. That means a deficit of almost 23 inches. And the last time Independence was above normal in rainfall was June 12th of last year. So it's been a year and a week of below normal on rainfall. So that just goes to show you just how severe the drought is. And we still have some storms out towards the west and western Oklahoma helping out with those folks. Also some storms in eastern Colorado and in New Mexico. So it's been more spring-like for them. Meanwhile, in our local area, we just have one isolated shower up near Burlington and also just to the east of Yates Center. And when I come back, I'll tell you about the hot weekend forecast when we come back.
People across the South are assessing damage after the 7th straight day of severe weather. A tornado in Matador, Texas caused massive destruction and left at least 4 people dead. Matador is in the northern part of the state, just south of the Panhandle. The entire town of about 600 people is without power. Crews are working to get it back as quickly as possible. The U.S. Coast Guard has announced the discovery of a debris field in the area near the Titanic during the search for the submersible that hasn't been seen since Sunday. As Roxana Sabiri reports from Boston, this is now a recovery operation.
4 days after the submersible Titan was last seen, the U.S. Coast Guard said a remotely operated underwater vessel found something in the search area near the Titanic.
An ROV, or remote operated vehicle, from the vessel Horizon Arctic discovered the tail cone of the Titan submersible. The ROV subsequently found additional debris. The debris is consistent with the catastrophic loss of the pressure chamber.
Titan, owned by the OceanGate Company, was taking 5 people to see the Titanic wreckage when it went missing on Sunday. According to OceanGate's court filings, at least 46 people successfully traveled on its submersible to the Titanic wreck in 2021 and 2022. Still, the company has faced criticism for years.
It follows no code and follows no jurisdiction.
Engineer Bart Kemper was part of a marine technology group that has expressed concerns over OceanGate's continued operation without what the group said is typical certification.
How rare is it for something like this to happen?
We have not lost a non-military submersible before. We've had failures, we've had fatalities, but we've never had this type of incident happen before.
The Titan crew included a British billionaire, a Pakistani businessman and his son, a Titanic expert, and OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush. Roxana Saberi, CBS News, Boston.
In a statement, OceanGate called the men true explorers and said, "Our hearts are with these 5 souls and every member of their families during this tragic time." President Biden welcomes Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the White House today for meetings and a state dinner. The White House announced a new deal to build fighter jet engines in India. The U.S. also sees India as a critical partner in stemming the threat posed by their neighbor, China. Still ahead, doing more to stay safe.
Alarming results from a study on pedestrian safety. I'm Astrid Martinez with why researchers are urging immediate action to make our roadways safer.
And next in Health Watch, in honor of Cataract Awareness Month, we'll meet a surgeon in Nepal helping thousands of people see again. Topping today's Health Watch, the FDA is developing new nutrition labels that will go on the front of packaged goods. That's in the hope that the information will be more clear and easily understood so consumers can make healthier choices and avoid diet-related chronic diseases. The FDA also believes the new labeling will encourage the food industry to develop healthier products that Americans will want to buy. The agency is pushing to have these new front label regulations out by December. A new report is highlighting alarming trends across the country when it comes to healthcare. The nonprofit The Commonwealth Fund released its 2023 scorecard on state health system performance. The report looks at all 50 states and the District of Columbia on 58 measures of health outcomes, equity, and affordability. Researchers say they found a surge in preventable deaths in every state, largely driven by COVID-19 deaths. June is Cataract Awareness Month, an eye condition that is America's leading cause of vision loss. The good news is it can be treated with surgery. Reporter Riley Carlson introduces us to a man who is giving thousands of people their sight back.
High in this Himalayan valley, in a makeshift clinic, dozens of people are lining up outside for their chance to see again. All of these patients have cataracts, a condition that causes the lens of the eye to slowly cloud over, blurring vision before leading to blindness. They're here for surgery to replace their cloudy lens with a clear artificial lens.
They need help, really. You can see how eye care is so difficult and how healthcare would be difficult, how education would be difficult.
Dr. Sanduk Ruit is running this clinic in South Asia. He's performed more than 130,000 operations. A tech multimillionaire is funding the surgeries as a way of giving back after spending time in jail for mail fraud.
I think it's a crime for some people like us not to do more.
In the U.S., the CDC estimates 20 million Americans older than 40 have cataract in one or both eyes. By age 65, more than 90% of people in the U.S. will develop cataracts. Dr. Ruitt checks the results once his surgeries are done.
I'm very happy.
He says restoring people's sight never gets old.
It really energizes me and recharges my battery.
The pair has now set a lofty goal: 500,000 more surgeries in 5 years. Riley Carlson, CBS News, London.
Cataracts are more prevalent in Nepal than almost anywhere else on Earth. That's a look at today's health news. A little later, how a proposed rule by federal regulators could change braking systems on large vehicles.
And it's pretty warm across the area once again as summer is making its presence known. I'll be back to let you know what the weekend looks like when we come back. Well, folks, summer officially started yesterday, but we've been dealing with summer-like weather for quite some time, and we're still looking at summer-like conditions this evening down in Seneca, Missouri, at Nico Sky Casino and Resort. Just mostly blue skies, just a few clouds out there, way off in the distance, a few cumulus and some cirrus clouds, and that is about it. Today was normal, 88 for the high and the normal low, or 67, and of course that's where we were, so it was exactly normal. Unfortunately, we're not normal on the rainfall, which is about 85 hundredths below for the month and 7 inches so far for the year. Hopefully we'll get some more rain in here to help keep that or catch that up a little bit. But right now, the only storm activity we have in the region is up near Burlington, just an isolated shower at that. Temperatures are pretty much in the upper 80s to lower 90s across the area. 87 in Miami, Pittsburgh, Fort Scott, 88 in Iola, 91 right now in Independence, a little bit cooler over to the east where they're in the mid 80s. When you factor in the dew point and the humidity, this is what it feels like right now. 90 in Independence, 91 in Nowata, 90 in Grove and in Jay. So it's a pretty toasty afternoon. Rain chances are going to be low for tonight, but as we go through tomorrow night, different story. We're going to start to see rain chances increasing late tomorrow night and Saturday morning, so that's pretty good news. In fact, here's a look at the breakdown of the forecast for you tonight. Mostly fair with just a few clouds around, maybe an isolated shower up towards the north with lows in the 60s. And then tomorrow, partly cloudy with, again, the better chance of showers off towards the west, and they're going to be isolated at best with highs in the upper 80s to around 90 degrees. Then as we go into the Friday night and Saturday morning, that's when we start to see the rain chances increasing across our area, especially up towards the north with lows in the 70s. And then on Saturday afternoon, isolated storms will be off towards the east. Look at this, 90s across most of the area. In fact, mid-90s out towards the west. So it's going to get warmer and warmer as we go through the weekend. Then on Sunday, we get a little bit of a break as we see lows on Sunday morning in the 70s. Rain chances, like I said, are going to be few and far between, but we could see maybe a quarter of an inch in some of the storms, heavier amounts in some isolated spots, especially off towards the east. And then as we go through the forecast, you can see the ridge of high pressure is going to maybe retract a little bit back towards the west, and that's going to allow these systems to come a little bit closer to us as they go up and over the ridge. But then as we go into the early part of next week, look what happens. The ridge comes back towards the east and comes back with a vengeance, causing all the storm activity to go well away from us, and it's just going to build and build, and that means hotter weather on the way. Let's take a look at the next 7 days. Tomorrow, partly cloudy and 90, 93 on Saturday with the chance of storms mainly in the morning, 94 on Sunday with isolated storms. And then as we go through the rest of the forecast, look at that. Thursday, I just couldn't do it. Had to forecast 98. It's going to be hotter than, well, I'll let you fill in the blank.
Oh, for sure.
With temperatures close to 100 by the end of next week.
It is certainly that time of the year. Not looking forward to it, but that's what happens when you live in the area.
That's right.
Hopefully along the lines we can get some rain.
Hopefully so.
For the drought.
Because we definitely need it.
All right, thank you, Sam. Coming up, what a new report shows about a rise in pedestrian deaths. Topping today's Consumer Watch, federal regulators are proposing a new rule that would require vehicles over 10,000 pounds to have automatic emergency braking systems. The Biden administration proposal is part of a larger effort to reduce fatalities on U.S. highways. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says having the feature in heavy vehicles would prevent nearly 20,000 crashes and save at least 155 lives.
Heavy vehicles will be required to fully stop
and completely avoid contact with other vehicles across a range of speeds from approximately 6 miles per hour all the way up to 62 miles per hour. Today's proposal will mean that nearly all newly produced vehicles will be required to be equipped with the life-saving AEB technology in the near future.
NHTSA is asking safety advocates and victims of traffic crashes to comment on the proposal over the next 60 days. The final rule is expected to take effect within 5 years. A new report is revealing some alarming findings about pedestrian safety in the U.S. Reporter Ashton Martinez has more on what researchers uncovered and what we can do about it.
Pedestrian fatalities are on the rise, according to a new report by the Governor's Highway Safety Association.
A number of factors, unfortunately, have converged to create this deadly situation.
In 2022, drivers struck and killed more than 7,500 people walking in the U.S., the most in 41 years. Adam Snyder is with the GHSA.
That's 20 pedestrian deaths every single day. That's just unacceptable.
The report includes data from 49 states and Washington, D.C. It found the majority of the fatalities have occurred at night over the past few years.
Many parts of the country lack adequate infrastructure, even simple things like sidewalk and lightings that can help pedestrians. Our vehicles are getting larger and heavier, and that poses a greater danger for people on foot.
Snyder recommends several ways to reverse the trend, including designing safer roadways and community engagement with vulnerable populations. But he says educating drivers about their responsibility to yield to pedestrians would make the biggest impact of all. Astrid Martinez, CBS News, New York.
Later this summer, the GHSA will hold its annual meeting in New York City, where traffic safety experts, public health officials, and members of law will discuss strategies to combat the rise of pedestrian fatalities. Ford is revving up its electric vehicle production, and it's agreed to a $9.2 billion conditional loan from the U.S. government to fund the effort. Ford and its South Korean battery manufacturing partner, KOAM, signed off on the loan from U.S. Department of Energy as part of President Biden's push to bring more EV production stateside. The joint venture, called Blue Oval SK, would use the funds to build 3 electric vehicle battery plants, 2 in Kentucky and 1 in Tennessee. The project also includes a factory to build electric trucks. A final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, we'll check out a historic garden that was recently uncovered after decades of neglect. Then on KOAM News at 6, a Joplin man says a piece of technology from the 1960s could have helped save the people aboard the Titanic submersible. Plus, we'll have more on the neighborhood app helping keep local communities safe. And Missouri Southern women's basketball announces a new group of players joining the team. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. A Georgian classical mansion called Casa Encantada in the famed Los Angeles community of Bel Air is for sale, and the price tag is $250 million, making it the most expensive home for sale in America. The 60-room, 40,000 square foot estate built in the 1930s sits on 8.5 acres adjacent to the Tony Bel Air Country Club. It also boasts 18-foot ceilings, a huge dining room, card room, a pool bar, a screening room, lighted tennis and basketball courts, a rose garden, tons of trees, lush landscaping, and a greenhouse. Even if I had that amount of money, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable spending $250 million.
In my view, anyone that spends that kind of money, they got more money than sense.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right. Weather, Sam, what do we have?
Hot with scattered thunderstorms possible late tomorrow night into Saturday morning, and then isolated storms on Sunday. And then it really gets hot by the time we go into next week, around 98 on Thursday, and then slightly cooler as we head towards next weekend. So at least we have that to look forward to.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next. And of course, we'll be right back here for KOAM News at 6. We'll see you then. Let's make it a great evening.